Welcome to the Idaho REALTORS podcast, our association's podcast for membership, education, and outreach. On this episode, Government Affairs Director Max Pond sits down with Bobbi-Jo Meuleman, Governor Brad Little's Deputy Chief of Staff and Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. In their meeting, they discussed Bobbi-Jo's career that led her to this current role in the governor's office, and the realtor successes that came out of this year's legislative session, including workforce housing investment and tax cuts. We'll also have some information about the Idaho primary election on May 17th and the Safe Showings app, a free benefit to all IR members. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to visit our website, idahorealtors.com, for more information. Also, if you haven't done so, remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Well, Bobbi-Jo, thanks for joining us today. I'm excited for you to be here because, number one, we are good friends, so I know that today's conversation is going to be fun. But I think it's also a good opportunity for some of our members to learn about, hear about you and some other members of the governor's staff that they might not otherwise get an opportunity to do. So with that, Bobbi-Jo, welcome. And tell us a little bit about how you got into Idaho politics. I know it doesn't actually start in Idaho, so.
Well, thanks, Max, and thanks for this really fun opportunity to get the opportunity to talk a little bit about myself and with you, and I'm sure have some laughs today. So yeah, I was born and raised in Montana. After college, I worked out in D.C. for about 6 years, 3 years working for a United States Senator, and then 2 years working for United States Congressman. When I was working for the United States Senator Conrad Burns, I met my now husband, Patrick, out there. He was working for Senator Larry Craig, and back in the day when I was there, all the western states really kind of hung out together, and so met him there. My boss, Senator Burns, lost re-election, and I went and started working for Congressman Denny Rehberg. My husband and I got engaged, and he got a really good job back in Idaho, so I was moving up west. I thought I'd be heading to Montana when I went back west, but ended up coming to Idaho. Fortunate for me, the congressman I was working for, Denny Rehberg, was good friends with Governor Butch Otter. They served together in Congress and were really good friends. And so the congressman made a call to Governor Otter, said, hey, there's this girl coming out. She's into politics, going to need a job. And I moved out here and was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to sit down with Governor Otter and had an interview. And the rest is kind of history. And Idaho's been really good to me. I've had a pretty successful career in politics, and it's been great.
Well, that's really cool. So, so when I moved back to Idaho from Washington, D.C., I moved back to work for Governor Otter, and you were, I think, his scheduler at the time.
Yeah.
But no, so we've had some fun adventures in the governor's office together. So that's very cool. So you worked in Governor Otter's office, and then you went to Commerce after that. Is that correct?
I did. So I was in Governor Otter's personal office for 7 years. I was a scheduler for all 7 of those years, and then the last couple years I was there, I was his deputy chief of staff. And then I went and worked under Megan Ronk at the Department of Commerce. I was her chief operating officer for a year. And then when Megan left, I was fortunate to be appointed by Governor Otter to be the director of commerce for a year. So really cool experience. Got to experience a lot of really neat things in those couple years over at Commerce. Most people know under Governor Otter, Governor Little was the lead for the state for economic development. So, I had a great working relationship with Lieutenant Governor Little when I was in the governor's personal office, being the scheduler, but then really worked with him a lot when I was at Commerce as we partnered on promoting the state, business expansion, so on and so forth. And so I was really excited to get asked to come back and work in his personal office when he won governor.
Well, speaking of people we mutually know, when I say the name David Hensley, does that ring a bell to you?
It sure does. David and I go way back. We spent 7 years together in Governor Otter's office. Anyone who has worked in a political office knows that the chief of staff and the scheduler work very closely because you're managing your member's life, which is very important. And so spent a lot of time with David and have a lot of good things to say about David.
Well, let's not get off track here. We don't need to talk about all those good things. So.
The Idaho primary election is May 17th, 2022, which is just over a month away. If you haven't done so recently, make sure to visit voteidaho.gov to make your primary election day plan. VoteIdaho.gov is an amazing tool to check your voter record, find your polling location, confirm your voter registration, or even request an absentee ballot. There's also a calendar of important dates for voters, which outlines when early voting starts, as well as other important deadlines. Make sure you don't miss the May 17th primary. Visit voteidaho.gov today. Did you know that the Safe Showings app is free to all IR members? This year, Idaho REALTORS has partnered with Safe Showings to bring the Safe Showings Enterprise app, a $50 year privacy tool, free to all members. With the Safe Showings app, you can discreetly notify emergency contacts, track your showings, and even log pictures of potential buyers, all in an effort to keep you safe. IR cares about the safety of our members, and we are excited to offer this benefit to all Idaho Realtors. Visit idahorealtors.com/safeshowings for more information.
So, obviously now you are working for Governor Little. Tell us a little bit about your portfolio with him, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit of this last legislative session.
Yeah, so for Governor Little, I'm his Deputy Chief of Staff and Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. So kind of a hodgepodge of all things, really, helping with staff management, office management, all those things. But a really big part of my portfolio is that intergovernmental affairs role, which is really, the outreach and relationship part with the legislature, federal delegation, city, county, tribal. And so a big part of my role the past 4 years has been, really pushing to implement the governor's legislative priorities, which, as you know, we just wrapped up a pretty successful session. So kind of do a lot of everything, but I would say my biggest priority is definitely those relationships, maintaining those relationships and just ensuring the governor's agenda is successful.
So if we want to get something done, we go talk to Bobbi-Jo. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I've been told.
Well, good. So you mentioned a successful legislative session here in 2022. I think, our membership would probably agree with you, but tell us a little bit about this last session.
Yeah, I really think this was a legislative session for history. The accomplishments that were achieved were really amazing. If you look at long-term strategic investments, I think one of the things we're really proud of is we're calling the trifecta, and that is making record investments in education, the biggest in history, making record tax cuts, $600 million, over $1 billion in the next 5 years, and making long-term strategic investments in our transportation system. We successfully achieved all of those this year, and Governor Little is really proud of that. These are things that are going to, keep our state on the good trajectory it is, planning for the future just to make sure that this is the place where, the governor says our kids want to stay because we have been smart in planning. So really, really successful session. I think, walking away from yesterday, just pretty proud of all the things that we got done.
That's awesome. Well, whether it comes to first-time home buyer savings accounts, doing some things on the homeowner's exemption, and then obviously this year with the workforce housing, we really appreciate and cherish the opportunities that we get to work with the governor's office, and obviously that extends to his staff and including you as well. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you coming to give us a little update today. Again, Bobbi-Jo, appreciate it, and I hope that you'll maybe come back again soon.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to you, Max, and to your members for all the support you've provided the governor and our office these past 4 years, and, the support you guys provided this year, and being able to get through the legislature $50 million to address housing is a really big win, and everyone should be proud of that, and that couldn't have been done without the help of you and your members. So thanks for all you guys do.
Well, it's our pleasure, and we will talk again soon. Thanks again, Bobbi-Jo.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you for listening to the Idaho Realtors podcast, our association's podcast for membership, education, and outreach. Thank you to the Office of Governor Brad Little and Bobbi-Jo Meuleman for joining us for this episode. If you'd like to know more about the legislative session or the work by Governor Little's office, visit gov.idaho.gov. IR Governmental Affairs Director Max Pond hosted this week's episode. My name is Nick Stout, and I am the IR Communications Director. Remember to visit our website, IdahoRealtors.com, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, liking this episode on social media, and sharing it. Thank you again for joining us this episode, and we'll see you next time.